Okay, to make the job as easy as possible for yourself, get it up onto a tailgate, camp table, something where you've got it out of the dirt, sand and mud, got your back straight, you'll have a lot more control over what you're doing. Clean all the area off so that we haven't got any garbage on the table to work with. And then we just need to get our little bag of bits and pieces that was in the puncher kit. We've got a little bit of chalk there. Okay, so we want to mark the tyre in relation to the valve so we can get it back on close to that same spot again. Okay, then mark any weights that may be fitted so that we can put them back on when we're finished. Get it the balancing pretty much as close as possible. If this tyre's too far beyond, then there's no point marking anything. Fit a fresh tyre, leave all the weights off. It won't matter whereabouts we put the tyre on. Okay, so in our little bag, we've got a valve tool. This end here is for removing the valve. If we have any problems with the threads inside the valve, we can clean it up with these. Same on the outside, we can clean it up with that one. When we pull through a new valve into the rim, we'll also use this section. So we'll just pull this one out. Just like that, put that to the side for a while. Okay, now to unpack the bead breaker, we just need to remove the retaining bolt. A little bit of rubbers just to stop any wear on the thread when it's packed away travelling. We'll just put that to one side. Screw the nut onto the retaining bolt, leaving somewhere around about 8mm of thread. Screw that into the 3/8 threaded hole. Down as far as we can, and then just lock down the nut. Finger tight is normally fine. Okay, now very important before we use the tool for the first application, as it says on here, remove the nut and fill with grease before you use it. It's also good to get a bit on the brass washer, so we'll just take that off. Get yourself a bit of wheel bearing grease, worst case scenario a bit of oil, certainly no CRC or anything like that, and completely fill the nut just with a bit of grease there. So we end up with a good coating of grease right throughout the nut. And screw him back on again. It's quite a messy job, but very important to do this. This bit of excess, whack onto your brass washer there. A bit on the thread. Really can't end up having too much of it there. Put that all on there. We can get rid of that last bit of excess. There we go, we're right through there now, so that's well greased up for sure. So we'll remove the second retaining bolt, only needed for 18-inch or larger rims. This is a 15-inch rim that we're set up onto. If we were working on something larger, we're set into the 15-inch position. We could go 16, 17, 18, 19. It's just going to make the tool longer to reach across your larger rim. Okay, so just set the tool up on top of the rim, on top of the tyre. Drop your anchor down into the centre of the rim, depending on the depth of the rim, making sure we get the angle as close to this angle on the back section which actually breaks the bead. That's the direction we want to go in. That's the direction we should be pulling at. If it's higher, obviously we need to go forward, lower, back. Okay, so just using a 19mm or 3/4 ring spanner now, we just simply need to wind the tool down. Making sure we're not working near the valve, so as the tool travels down we don't damage the valve. Just wind it down. As it's travelling down, if it's not staying in contact with the rim, we really need to come back another position to keep itself moving forward. Okay, so we can see the tyre's been pushed down into the well, come away from the safety there. So now that it's in the well, so just give the tyre a good shove forward and it'll come off quite easily. Okay, so just unwind it enough that you can get the anchor out of the rim, put the bead breaker to the side, we're ready to lever the tyre off the rim. Okay, in our little puncher kit, we've got a sachet here of just Lux Flakes and a brush. We just need to mix that up in a little container to somewhere near the consistency of what we've got here. Nice and thick, it's going to stay in place when we put it there. Before we lever the tyre off the rim, get a good generous amount of that and stick in between the tyre and rim so we don't damage that as we're taking it off. Okay, now using the spade end of the lever, making sure the spade is upwards, starting at the valve, simply push the lever in, pull the tyre up over while you're holding it down into the well. Get your second lever. If we look properly, we can see between the tyre and the rim there's a gap that the tyre lever will actually slip into nicely. And get that up over. Just repeat that as around as we go. Bringing it off evenly. And the front's off. Okay, now just simply turn him over. Repeat the process on the back. Some rims it may be necessary to change the position from the front to rear if the centre of the rim's not actually in the centre of the rim. This one should be pretty right. So just keeping an eye on the tool, making sure it's staying in contact with the rim as we go down. Once that's down as far as you can, if the bead hasn't broken, there's no point continuing trying to wind down once it's bottomed out. We need to lubricate between the tyre and rim now. Plenty of lubrication in there. Have a bit of a look at how far it's come off. Move ourselves around. This one position on the other side would quite easily get it off. We'll just move him over to the other side. Okay, so to get the tyre right off the rim now, most important thing, lubrication. Start painting lubrication around on the rim. Keep going around till you get right back to where you've started from. You can't really get too much of this stuff on here. Lubricate the bead itself, make that all nice and slippery. Now we need the hook end of the levers. Grab our other lever. Having the valve up, get the hook end of your lever, slip it in there so you can grab hold of the rim like so, and then flip the whole tyre over. This is another time where it's really good to be up on a tailgate or a bench where we can put a lot of force down onto that lever. Get the spade end of the lever now, following the shape of the rim, just jacking the bead over the edge of the rim. Put a little bit of force in there. Just take nice little bits. You see that just feeding itself off. Doesn't take much. And there she goes, she's out.